they do say na basketball is like a chess match. So let's see, Renzo, kung magaling ka talaga sa chess. Na mag-chess tayo. In game 1...
Asan yung board?
Asan? Ito, in our heads. Yeah. So in game 1, TNT takes the first move. And you said na they out-hustled SMB by controlling the rebounding. Now, can you expound how important this was for TNT?
You know, I think in game 1, the rebounding department, that was the story of the ball game. I think that's part of their game plan. I think Coach Chot told his guys to, let's control the boards for us to run the break. TNT is a well-organized and high-octane team. They love to run the break. They love to, look for those open threes, those corner threes, and they did a great job on doing those stuff. And rebounding was the main reason for those stuff.
Yeah, TNT, Tropang 5G, they had a stellar start for them. Si Coach Chot, medyo iniba niya yung starters niya, di ba?
Yeah,
Nagulat yung kalaban. So that was his adjustment, at least for game number 1, those changes. So he made the first move, as you mentioned. Sino ba yung mga guardia? Parang it was the guards of TNT who actually did the damage, and at the same time, they rebounded well for the team.
Just like what you said, very surprising yung starting lineup ni Coach Chot in game 1, where Simon Enciso started, and he contributed big time. He knocked down 3 3-pointers in the opening quarter, finished with 12 points, and I think it was really a total team effort from the guards to the bigs. Everyone was scoring, rebounding, and winning those 50-50 balls. I think there were 6 guys in double digits in game 1.
Yeah, we have to mention also the rebounding numbers, which is your main point. No, of Tana had 10, Williams had 9, then the guards. Jordan Heading had 8, Nambatak and Kobuntin each had 5 rebounds. So that was the first move na ginawa ni Coach Chot. So ngayon, sabi mo nga, Jamie, chess match, diba? Ano ba yung dapat gawin next?
Ano nga ba? So in this coming game, siyempre babawi ang previous champion ng All-Filipino, which is SMB. And magaling din si Coach Leo. What do you think they'll come up with?
I think for SMB, they need to have that sense of urgency, to start the game strong. It can't be like game 1 where they were catching up as much as 20 points in the first half, especially if you're playing against a well-organized and high-octane team like TNT. And for me, it's unacceptable if you're SMB, one of the the tallest and biggest teams in the PBA, for you not to win that rebounding department. For me, it's a no-no for them.
Pero, oo nga. Pero actually, very positive din ang sinasabi ni Coach Leo and also sina Junmar after their games. No, they think of it like a positive thing pa na they were down by this much by the first half, pero they got the deficit as close as 1, I think.
Yeah.
And so they see that as a positive thing. Do you think they can take that into game 2 then?
I think, I agree with those guys with what they said. I think one of the reasons that they were able to get back in the game was they were able to force TNT to 19 turnovers, and they were able to capitalize on those turnovers by converting them into turnover points. That's the reason that they were able to trim the lead down even by 2 or 1 point.
Nababa pa yung lamang, di ba? Parang sabi nga ni Jamie, tambak ng first half.
Tambak, 20
people
points.
thought it was gonna be a blowout all throughout, but SMB, of course, led by that man, the Kraken, Junmar Fajardo, nakahabol yung Beermen. And as expected, yung numbers ni Junmar had double digits in rebounding. CJ Perez also had 7, but who else has to step up for them in game 2 for them to have a chance?
I think the guys like Chris Ross, Lassiter, Don Troliano, Jericho Cruz, SMB is a very deep team. And you have those big 3, like just like what you said, Moto Tua, the Kraken, and CJ Perez. But it's already given that they're gonna get their numbers. But the X factor in SMB are those guys like, Don Troliano. Definitely needs to step up in game 2.
Kung paano tatapatan ng backcourt nila yung backcourt ng TNT, di ba? In terms of rebounding as well.
Yeah. Now, sa TNT naman, siyempre si Coach Chot hindi magpapatalo. He will anticipate yung adjustments ng SMB. And siyempre, gusto nila bumawi from the last conference because they were so close na to a Grand Slam.
Yeah.
And so they were really, really preparing for SMB. What do you think they'll be thinking coming into this game?
I think if you're Coach Chot Reyes, you're TNT, you don't have to really make major adjustments, just minimal adjustments. I mean, why fix things that aren't broken, right? So I think it's more of, improving the lapses, especially taking care of the basketball. They can't afford to turn the ball over 19 times against a strong team like SMB.
Well, of course, itong game number 2, malayo pa tayo sa checkmate, kumbaga, di ba?
Yes.
Malayo pa tayo
Yes.
dyan. But for TNT to be able to continue this momentum and get more out of their squad, what will they need to rely on? Of course, rebounding, as you mentioned, is a big
Rebounding,
part
yeah.
if they continue what they did in game 1. But because of the adjustments of Coach Leo, ano pa yung dapat gawin ng TNT para makuha yung 2-0 lead?
Alam naman natin na SMB is a very strong team. Yung lineup is very deep. Kahit yung third stringers nila can play the first 5. Diba? So I think it's all about effort. Aside from the X and O's, the game planning, it all boils down to, tripling your effort.
Yeah.
So whatever effort that you exerted in game 1, kailangan doblehin mo pa yun, triple pa, if you're playing against SMB.
Yeah. Now, talk about naman the importance for them to defend the main guys of SMB, like sina Junmar, sina CJ, sina Mo.
I think the only thing that they could do when you play against Junmar, Moto, Tua, and CJ pairs is just to slow them down. But I think it's more of, choosing their poison the right way. So it's like, okay, you guys can get your numbers, but, we're gonna limit the other guys like Chris Ross,
Yeah.
Lassiter, which they did a great job. Lassiter only scored, 0 points.
Yeah.
And Lassiter, Chris Ross had 2 points, Lassiter had 0, and Trollano had 4. Those guys below their averages.
Of course, we know that both teams also have some injuries. RR Pagoy did not see action. Junmar Fardo also nursing some pain in his injury. But apart from these rebounding stats and the scoring, what makes SMB so dangerous na hindi mo sila pwedeng pabayaan? Kasi nga, yes, lamang yung TNT Tropang 5G ng isang laro, but yes, uminit din si Simon Enciso in the first quarter. You need him to do that again. But anong meron pa sa SMB that makes them so tough to put away?
I think they've been together for so long now. Their cohesiveness as a team is already there. So usually a lot of people would say getting game 1 is very important. Yes, it's very important, but when you play against SMB, you can't really relax. They're gonna really find a way. They play with a lot of perseverance. They're relentless as a team, and especially if you have there the 11-time MVP champion Junmar Fajardo. It's really hard to stop SMB.
It'll take a village, diba, for
Yes.
TNT. Who can they draw more strength from itong Tropang 5G aside from the guys that we already mentioned? Because there can be X factors na hindi pa pumuputok for TNT, especially in a long series like this. If you can name like 1 or 2 players from TNT na tingin mong pwedeng gumawa, tumulong sa susunod na mga laro.
I think if Simon Enciso continues to be, consistent, especially with the type of plays contributing, he gets to give the guys like Jordan Heading and Reynam Batak the breather that they need, especially, when entering the fourth period, the final period, yung mga importanteng situations na they're fresh.
Yeah.
If you have Simon there, backing them up.
And it's against his former team.
Yes, so I think he's motivated to play his best.
Motivated, kilala niya yung mga kalaban niya. So let's see if he'll continue to be an X factor. But thank you so much, Renzo,
Thank
for
you.
joining
Thank
us.
you, guys.